And you're welcome back. It's time for us to get into the trends, the milestones, and of course, the vibrant moment that shaped the world of Nigerian entertainment scene. Now, of course, we know that Nigerian entertainment is one of the country's most dynamic sectors. And in 2024, Nigerian entertainment continued to captivate global audiences, from record-breaking box office numbers and chart-topping music hits to the rise of fresh talent and new controversies as usual. It's been a whirlwind of growth, glitz, and gaps.
Yes, indeed it has. So to help us unpack this year in entertainment, we have two esteemed guests joining us. First off, we have with us Aziz Hosseini. Aziz Hosseini is a celebrated music producer and also audio engineer, and he'll be sharing with us his expertise in this field. And also here in the studio with us, you saw him from earlier, is Akinduro Olusegun. He is our violinist that had a very interesting interaction with Judith during the monologue there. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's do 2024 in retrospect for entertainment. Aziz, let's come to you. Let's ask first what your high point was for 2024 when it comes to entertainment.
Oh, that's a good question. I would say 2024 is the year of Ashake. And I say this because a lot of people thought 2023 was going to be the year where Ashake dominated the music industry, but it turned out that 2024 was an even bigger year for him. So for me, I think the high point of the year was just the fact that artists like Ashake, like Burna Boy, Wizkid as well, to an extent, Davido continue to create more waves, taking the Nigerian music industry global and worldwide. I particularly think that we are just beginning, and I think that we're going to see more of this happen going forward, even in the year 2025.
Now, Shekhar here in the studio with us, you gave us a very interesting backing for Judith's. Judith, that was fantastic, by the way. I didn't get to congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I didn't know whether to cry or whether it was beautiful. It was also quite introspective for Nigeria.
That was the goal. The goal was for us to be introspective. I think that sometimes those numbers that we reel out whenever we're casting the news sometimes are forgotten. And I thought that you've already done a fantastic job just, calling out all those major events. And for me, I just wanted to remember those that were forgotten, and as just part of the headline news. All right, enough of that. Shagun, fantastic work. Do you agree with Aziz that this year it was a year of Ashake?
Yes, I do agree with him.
Do you think it was also, for me, it was a year of the big four, some of the big three, all right? Because, or rather a big five, okay? Because if you're putting Ashake as a year for Ashake as well, what about my boy, my boy, Rama. Ozeba.
So when we start talking about numbers, we get into a lot of controversies.
Sure.
Yeah, so both Ashake, Rema, they all did well. And, Ashake is selling out the O2 for the second time, a big one, and it gives hope to the younger ones that, okay, they can do it. Someone that was just signed less than 3 years ago. That was cool. That was a good one.
Okay. So, Don Zizi, now let's talk the numbers when it comes to how we did when we export Nigerian entertainment. We saw, since after the pandemic, Nigeria started to export its music. In fact, some of the Nigerian artists started to regard themselves as world artists or not African artists. I make music for the world, not for Nigeria. One or two of them have been noted to say. What effect has this had on the Nigerian music or entertainment space generally? Let's also look at it in terms of television, which has migrated from what it used to be for cable TV to now streaming services. Nigeria has also got a big portion when it comes to these streaming services with our movies and all. So for 2024, did Nigeria absolutely stamp its name in the annals of entertainment, and how impactful was that?
Yeah, I would say absolutely, absolutely. Nigeria, if we look at it from the perspective of the movie industry, 2024 was a great year for Nollywood. I mean, we had the first African movie debuting at the Tribeca Film Festival. If you remember, there was this movie by Daniel Oriahi called The Weekend. We had Breath of Life, which won five AMVCA awards. You know, it was a super movie. You know, global recognition. We had Everybody Loves Jennifer, which broke the 1 billion naira mark. You know, at the Nigerian box office. Great year, great international collaborations. On the music perspective, I think we did even bigger things. Some of my favorite collaborations for 2024 were Ashake and Travis Scott. Again, Ashake's name is coming up. Ashake and Central C, you know, from the UK as well, you know, was a great hit. Wizkid collaborating with Brent Fayez on Piece of My Heart. That was another fantastic song. Davido and YG Mali, you know, collaborating on Awuke. So many to mention. We saw Yemi Alade doing great things as well. We saw some remixes of old songs. If you remember, Omale had that song called Soso. And then there was a remix by a Puerto Rican artist called Ozuna, you know, which did fantastic numbers, even more than the original song. So I think there is a huge Afrobeats trend that's happening globally. And this is an opportunity for Nigerian artists to continue to put their stamp on the world. But one thing I would say, you know, just as a final note, is that there is some downside to that wave happening. And the downside is that a lot of artists who are still upcoming, who are still struggling, you know, now the bar is really high for them and they really struggle, you know, to get their music out there, to get any sort of recognition or to tap into this global Afrobeats wave.
Right. As you put it so nicely with that last remark there, because it makes you wonder, those that are up and coming or just trying to be rising stars, they've set the bar so high that it now makes you wonder that, you know, we now start to have a conversation about whether or not not every standard that you see in the entertainment industry applies to you, and everybody's path and their genre is different, because all the rising stars now want to sell out O2 arenas and they want to, you know, jump all the other milestones to be at the top, and it takes time. I think that's a conversation that I see being had in 2025. Yep. But another defining moment for us in 2024 was influencers becoming pop culture sensations and also shaping the entertainment industry, not necessarily with a contribution of entertainment, but more or less their lifestyle. To begin with, the #1 search person on the Google search web, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, none other than herself, Bobrisky. You know?
What? Who?
Bobrisky.
Her?
Herself, Bobrisky. She calls herself a woman now. I don't have any choice. I need, although, I mean, over the, when asked and quotes what
you say it was a man.
Is that a man?
Come on.
There was also, not to forget, the photograph was there earlier, the man himself, the law, help me.
I wish I knew who you were talking about.
What's his name? Lai Wasabi. I said Lai Mohammed. Can you imagine? Lai Wasabi
as well.
There was Sabinos as well. There's also the chap with his go, you know, and so Brain Jotter, there we go. So we've seen influencers who've turned from skit makers and now they've also been sensationalized, and they're now icons. So let's talk about that trajectory as well. But I want to start with here in the studio. Let me come to you, Shegun, and then Aziz can take it away.
Okay, so I like the fact that you know, these guys can now make something of what they do, because you know, people just create content and people watch and there's nothing to show for it. But now we're now in a world where people can monetize their content, and so the talent that is, it's, you know, before we just see the music artists making money and all of that. But I think this is time for content creators to just suck out of that niche.
Well, how would you suck out of it? Because you also have a very specialized niche. You are classical music, so I'm wondering, because we've seen these kinds of marriages between movie and music or online sensations in Nollywood. For classical music, it's a very different ball game, because you have to create that bridge. For 2025, how can people who are engaged in classical music bridge that with social media to try and expand their audience?
So I do not want to say, saying classical music means you're putting a musician in a box.
Okay.
Okay. So as a violinist, I could be an Afrobeat violinist. I could as well play classical music.
I agree.
I play classical music and I can as well do other stuff. So the best way to do it is I create content. I create content for myself, to show that, okay, so some people see violin, oh, sad note. No, that's not what violin is about. Violin brings joy, it depends on what you want to depict. And that's what it is.
Oh, I love Glasgow music. I love it. I feel like it's the most elitist music on the face of the planet.
Elitist.
Yeah.
Elitist, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it so much because nobody can appreciate arts the way the bourgeois can. I'm joking, all right? It's a joke. But Aziz, let's hear from you as well. Your take on this
Bridging the gap.
you know what I mean? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the influencers and the content creators and the skit makers that have now metamorphosed into celebrities of their own rights and repute.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that really stands out here and I want to talk about is the influence of technology. Technology is the biggest driver of entertainment right now. Social media has basically bridged the gap, created a complete integration of all the different aspects of entertainment. And I'll give you an example. The influencers you're talking about are so big right now that they can make a song go viral. And so a lot of artists who want to push their music have to pay those influencers, to basically help them use those songs in their skits. The guy you were talking about, Brain Jotta, when he did the Guok War, this was a song that was released like way back, like 40 years maybe ago. And then, it became a viral hit again and everyone was going back and trying to appreciate that old song. And so you also have instances where influencers are actors, are participating in movies. Lai has been in several movies. Mr. Macaroni has been in several movies. Brother Shaggy has been in several movies as well. And so we'll continue to see this sort of amorphous transition happening between various forms of entertainment. Someone who is, there's this guy called Nas Boy, he's an online comedian, he's a skit maker. But Nas Boy has released some of the best music in the last 2 years. He had that song called, You Be My Umbrella, So this is something that's going to continue to happen. And I think that going into 2024, we are going to see more influencers, more content creators, sort of skirting, the boundaries between music, movies, and other aspects of entertainment.
And Aziz, as we talk about, all the aspects of entertainment, let's also talk about the downside, right? We saw the news, okay, of Netflix saying that they were divesting from Nigeria. Although they've come out to say they're not going anywhere. But one thing is certain, when it comes to the investments only time will tell in 2025 how they would invest in filmmaking and content creation for West Africa and specifically for Nigeria. But we've also seen from 2022, we saw the numbers, South Africa was getting much of that portion when it comes to investments for content creation and filmmaking more than it was for Nigeria. We saw that from 2022 and now 2023, 2024. And I'm certain, I feel like it would also still reduce come 2025. And so I have to ask you, which streaming platforms, and we also saw streaming platforms leave as well. Which one of them left Nigeria? I think, I can't remember the name now. I don't know if it was Prime, but one's already left Nigeria as well. They're still going to provide the services, but it's just going to be skeletal. With all of this, we saw music entertainment take off, or rather the Afrobeat scene take off. We saw Ashake sell out O2 again. We've seen it take a soul. What is the challenge for Nollywood to get to that international platform where we can go toe-to-toe with South Africa, and streaming platforms like streaming giants like Apple, Prime, and Netflix will not reduce the portions of, of investment for Nigeria with every quarter, with every year?
Yeah, there are. So I'll just address your question with 3 quick points. The first is when the challenges you see in the entertainment industry, especially what happened with Netflix, where we had of people getting these big budgets and not using all of it to make movies and using some of it for to buy cars and mansions and all that, is a reflection of the society. And so as far as you have these problems in the society where there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of lack of trust, and people are basically not living up to those moral standards, that will also reflect in the entertainment industry. It's happening in music, it's happening in the movies. And so that's the first thing. But the second thing to say is that the people who create those platforms or who run those platforms, I'm talking about Netflix, I'm talking about Prime Video, I'm talking about the international record labels, they are businesses and they want to make money, right? And so when you want to make money, you go with the demand. And so as far as there's consistent demand for Nigerian movies across the world, it's very strong in Africa. I think that Netflix and Amazon Prime will continue to invest in Nigeria. I also think that this is the third point I want to make is we also need to think about homegrown platforms. Nigeria is such a blessed country. I think that we have pioneers, we have people who have done great things. We don't have to wait for international platforms to push our content across the globe. If you remember, there's this lady, I can't remember her name now, who was a big Nollywood actress who was married to Jason, and they founded the Iroko TV platform. And Iroko TV went on to be a major content distribution platform. So I think if we have more people coming up to establish platforms, for those of us who are in the diaspora, I think that we can actually put together a platform where we market or push Nigerian content to global audiences. I think that would definitely make a difference going forward.
Make a difference indeed.
Don Zizi, I want to say thank you very much for taking out the time to actually give us your expertise on this. But I'm going to do something very interesting here. I'm going to ask Olusegun here in the studio because I'm so jealous of what he did with you, Judith. So I'm going to ask him to give me something energetic while I sign out this segment here, thanking you, gentlemen. So I don't know, something energetic? I don't know, what you got?
I trust him. He's really
I trust him too, but let's see how this pans out. So you just go and I'll go. So ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to say thank you very much for spending this time with us to analyze what it was like for 2024 when it comes to entertainment. A big thank you to Don Zizi and of course our violinist here, Olusegun. Do stay tuned because we have one more segment to look at in retrospect for 2024. Only if you stick around. Thank you very much.
That was a good twist. Oh, bravo!